The video for April 23rd, 2017 is titled "In the Silence of the Dark Morning." It's my practice to lay in silence and meditate when I wake up in the morning. If there is a dream that comes to mind, I meditate on that. Otherwise, I just wait. This process continues when I come to the computer, waiting for some inspiration or overriding thought on which to prepare my newest video. Of course, there are also days when the subject comes the night before, but that is the exception, not the rule. For the past couple of days, I have been listening to the Law of One material my English friend Matthew sent to me. In that long presentation, much is said in relation to the importance of meditation. Supposedly, that is where we go for guidance, are to go for guidance, the still small voice. Frankly, that voice does not provide relevant answers to the enormous problems we face as humanity. Day in and day out, nothing really changes, at least nothing that is plain and obvious. This frustrates me rather than bringing me to peace, as I am told it is supposed to do. Still, I continue to make videos while still in the dark quiet of early morning hours. Yeah, it's interesting that yesterday's video, the previous video to this one, the timer didn't get started for some reason, or I don't know what happened, but in any case, it ended up being exactly 10 minutes, and that's without the timer. The timer's going now. It's just past 2 minutes, just a little bit ago. But anyway, I sit here this morning contemplating the weekend. I mean, tomorrow I know I'm going to have to, I'm going to be in a meeting when I normally post my videos in the afternoon. I'm going to be in a meeting for a couple hours past that time. And it makes it a challenge when I have things. I don't normally schedule things, or at least I try not to schedule things that are going to take me out of my routine. I'm a creature of routine by far and large. And again, one of my routines is meditation. And yet, even though so many people say how important it is and that's where we're supposed to find our peace and get our answers, it doesn't work for me, at least not like it used to. It used to be when everything seemed to be going along the way that I expected, more or less. I was okay with just being silent. But there's something in me now, and especially since I had my home stolen last year, which I've repeated over and over again in many videos, I'm sure. But there's a certain anxiety and not a peacefulness within me, because I want so much to see change we can believe in, not believe in, change we can experience. And we don't experience it. You know, I still read the materials about the currency revaluation, and I've had more than one person indicate to me, you're wasting your time, that's never going to happen. Well, they would say the same thing of the manifestation of the kingdom of heaven on earth. It's never going to happen. Something has to happen, though, that gets us out of this recycling of the same old controlled grid of ignorance. And most of humanity is in ignorance. We simply don't know. And I used to think that I did know. I don't know either how it's going to happen. Some people say that God is both positive and negative, that all of it comes from God. Even what we consider negative comes from the Creator. Well, if that's true, then, as I've said in other videos, God is a schizophrenic. It's not reliable information. And what I, for a long time, based my foundation on was what I thought was the Word of God. And I've even looked at some things recently where one particular person that I listened to yesterday made a very strong case that the Apostle Paul was the supplanter. He was the one who took Christianity totally out of what Christ established and took it in another direction, which was followed up, of course, by the Romans and, of course, Paul, or Saul of Tarsus, was a Roman diplomat, soldier, whatever rank you want to put on him. And then he became or the Apostle Paul. Saul of Tarsus became the Apostle Paul. But all of his writings were debunked by this theologian who still placed credence in the Old Testament. And the Old Testament, to me, is what is suspect, although it contains much good and much information that I still consider relevant. It also contains things that make me scratch my head and question, is this really describing a God who is omnipotent and omniscient and omnipresent? Or is it describing a God who is jealous and confused and demanding and narrow-minded and not loving at all? Not able to even consider transforming the heathen, as the non-Israelites were called, the heathen, the Gentiles. All of this to me is nonsensical. There has to be love and a unifying force, something that brings us together. We've been separated far too long, and the separation is destroying us. If it doesn't destroy the planet Earth, it's destroying humanity on this earth. And this has to be corrected. And what the correction is, I wish I could tell you. I wish I could say it's coming this way and God is faithful. But if God is faithful at anything, God is faithful at not doing anything. As just simply allowing whatever criminality exists, God doesn't seem to do anything to stop it. And when people do try to make a difference, they usually are silenced in one way or another, as has happened in our very lifetime in the latter part of the 20th century and here in the early 21st century. It's the same thing, continuation of the same thing. Nothing really changes. Everything remains the same. As Larry Norman wrote, we are what we are till the day that we die. And then supposedly we come back again and live another life with a different name and a different identity. Folks, I hope with all of my heart that we actually get to experience heaven on earth. And that comes with peace. And peace is supposed to happen for us in the silence of our meditation, in the quiet time. And I spend a lot of quiet time, a lot of time just pondering, meditating, even just thinking about life and my life, and observing what goes on in people I know in their lives. And it's not a picture that I find reassuring. And I'd like to have some reassurance that makes the hope that I've carried for such a long time to be more meaningful. Anyway, I see my time is just about up on this 10-minute journey. So thank you for listening, and namaste.